All right. Hi, everyone. I just want to welcome you to our Run to Win Fundamentals of Running for Office training. My name is Nancy Leon. I'm the training manager here at Emily's List, and I'm super excited for you all to join us today. Just to give you a little bit of background on what Emily's List is, we are the largest resource for women in politics. We help recruit and train pro-choice Democratic women to run for office. And since our founding in 1985, we've helped elect over 150 women to the House, 26 to the Senate, 16 governors, and more than 1,300 women to state and local office. We've also had over 60,000 women reach out to us and say that they're ready to run for office. So these trainings will really give you the tools to set your foundation for your campaign journey. Some webinar norms before we get started. Firstly, just want to invest in our time together. We do have some interactive sections in this training, so invest as much as you can. The more you invest, the more that you'll get out of this training. Remember that all questions are valid, so if you have any, please type them in the text box. There will be people who will be trying to answer as many questions as I can in there, and also thank you to all the people who sent in your texted questions. We're going to be answering some of those in the Q&A sections. And then lastly, our slides are internal, so we won't be sending you the slides, but we will be sending you a recording of this training for you to refer back to whenever you need to. And for our agenda, we already did a welcoming and housekeeping, so welcome everyone. First thing we're going to talk about is taking those first steps of running for office, learning how to tell your story, some questions to consider and research that you'll need to do, and we're going to have a Q&A section at the end and also one in the middle. All right, so let's get started with our training for today, and let's start with taking those first steps. So what's really unique and great about running for office and about politics is that it all starts with your story. It all starts with who you are, what you care about, your experiences, and that's really powerful because it means that you can start running for office and the only thing that you really need is yourself. So what we're going to talk about here is just how to take those first steps towards building your story and telling voters and anyone who will listen why running for office in your community matters to you. So to start off, I want you to put in the chat box why you're thinking of running, or if you have already decided that you're running, why are you running? I want you to talk about, if you can, any specific issues that you feel have really called to you, that matter to you. Are you really angry about something? Are you scared about something? Why did you decide to come to this webinar today? And I'm going to try and pull up some of your questions and read them out, or some of your responses. So I see, I want to make a difference in your community. Absolutely. I'm tired of being on the sideline. Awesome. Because of diversity and equality, of course. This is awesome. I want to increase women's political representation. I see gerrymandering on here. I see homelessness. Definitely. I want to create a better space for my kids. Absolutely. I want to create quality and accessible education. Absolutely. So I'm loving these answers. Definitely. There's so many answers. There's so many of you here, but I can't read them all, but thank you so much for sharing. And I just want to say that those issues, like, you are completely right. And those issues are what are going to guide you when you're curating your story. And those issues are really the things that have made you want to run for office, right? Like, you're going to be guided by those particular moments, and those moments are also reflected in your community because you're not the only person who have experienced those things. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about leveraging these issues that you all have pointed to and using them in your personal story. So let's talk about what that means. So for the power of your personal story, it means that you're able to use your own personal experience, something that happened just to you, and explain how that thing that happened to you is actually a part of a broader communal story. It means that your community is facing a similar challenge. It can be in terms of the issues that you all just highlighted, right? Education, healthcare, reproductive rights, and it's something that you have been through in the past. And it's because your story is reflected in your community that you found your purpose in running. So I'm going to provide you guys with an example of a personal story, one of my personal stories that I have. But I just want you guys to start thinking about those answers that you just gave me in the chat. I want you to think about how those moments really shaped you and how you can use that in your personal story. And so before I tell you my personal story, I do want to go through the components of what a good personal story is and should have. So it should be relatable, compelling, and authentic. And what you want to start off with in your personal story is your situation, right? This is something that you faced that was challenging, like did you have a lot of loan debt? Did you go to some schools that were underfunded? Do you have family members struggling with immigration? Did you have to see a family member struggle through some healthcare issues and were they unable to find insurance? That can be, your situation can be a lot of things. And then you want to talk about your reaction. So, what happened? Did you feel scared? Did you feel helpless? Did you feel angry? Really dig deep into that because that's really what's going to resonate with people. And then because you felt that way, you resolved to do something. And that resolve can be a lot of things. Maybe you decided to run for office. Maybe you decided to change careers. You're really going to want to talk about that too, how you made a choice to do something about it. And obviously, if you're running for office, that's going to be amazing. And then you're going to have an ask, and I'm going to talk about the ask after I share my personal story. But just a hint on that, like usually from your resolve, it's pretty easy to find a connection to an ask that you want to have. So with that being said, I'm now going to share one of my personal stories. And I just want you all to pay attention while I share it. And I want you to try and take notes and try and find my situation, my reaction, my resolve, and my ask. Okay? All right. So now for my personal story. I grew up in a very wonderful and religious Latino family. It was amazing, and I love my family. And I was very much raised in the church. And as a young child, you kind of just believe. You accept what you're taught. You don't always ask questions. And I just kind of went along with what I was being taught as I grew up. And I was also during that time taken to a lot of pro-life marches where I happily participated. During my teen years, though, I had to start taking some birth control because of health reasons. And that was something that made me feel a little bit bad because I had been told my whole life that it technically wasn't okay. And around the same time, like during my teenage years, some of my teenage cousins and just teenage acquaintances started to become young moms. And this hit me especially hard when it was one of my cousins that I grew up with. We were almost the same age. She got pregnant. And when this happened, I felt really bad for her, not at all because she was pregnant, but because she never ever really got to have a conversation on choice, right? She never really got to ask herself, like, what do I want to do? What do I want my future to be? And so that moment was one that completely changed my outlook on reproductive rights. I felt really angry that she wasn't able to have autonomy over her body, but also over her future. And I continue to see similar injustices in the rest of my community once this happened. Like, I saw a lack of sex positivity in my teenage community, like, no one was talking about sex to them. They had limited access to birth control, limited access to affordable healthcare, culturally appropriate healthcare, and all of these things continue to fuel my anger. And for a long time, I really wanted to do more and be more vocal about my feelings, but that's something that wasn't easy for me. I was really scared of what my family would think, of what my church friends would think of me if I said that I was pro-choice or was working for an organization that also was. But I realized that I had a choice. I could either continue keeping mom scared of what other people would think of me and watch these injustices continue to happen around me, or I could actually do something about it and use my talents and lived experience to change my community. And so I decided to do something about it. And I started working with progressive organizations that were more sex positive. I worked with immigrant teens for a year. We provided them with more healthcare access, with community workshops. And now I work at Emily's List, and I'm here with all of you doing a training, helping you get ready to run for office. And so my ask for you today is that you really think about getting ready and running for office, because we need more pro-choice Democratic women like you in office today. Okay, and that's my story. So now that I've told you my story, like I said, I hope you took notes. I want you to put in the chat what my situation was. So yes, my situation was growing up in a religious family that was a bit anti-choice, definitely. Yep, growing up in a more conservative family, a religious community. Yep. And then, and also, yes, that my cousin ended up getting pregnant, and I saw that she didn't really have a choice, right? And what was my reaction to that? To my cousin not having a choice, to me growing up in a more conservative family, what was my reaction? Yeah, I was angry. I definitely was angry. I definitely felt upset and frustrated that that she didn't have a choice, and yeah, for sure. So then if I was angry, what ended up being my resolve? Like, what did I want to do about it? Yeah, I chose to do some activism, definitely. I chose to work in my community. I'm now working at Emily's List, helping you all get ready to run for office. Definitely, yes. And then, what was my ask at the end? My ask for all of you. Yes, to consider running for office. Yep. Yeah, decide, consider running for office, get ready, and guess what? You've already taken the first step, the first step today. So yes, that was my model of a good personal story. Hopefully now you know a little bit more about how to curate your own. And as you saw from my ask, it can be pretty easy to make a connection to an ask that you want based off of your personal story. Like mine was obviously about running for office, but it also could have been like, come to come campaign with me about protecting healthcare or abortion access. It can come very naturally from your story, so just keep that in mind when you're working on yours. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's talk about some personal story best practices. The first thing is you're going to want to share your experiences, and you're going to want to get vulnerable and talk about something that's happened to you. And I think when we say that, a lot of people kind of shy away from that, and they're like, no, I can't be vulnerable. People are going to say that I'm weak or that I'm too emotional or whatever it might be. But I actually do think this is really, really important because um, it can really show someone who you are. Um, it's you become more authentic to them. You become an actual human, a real person, and they can hear about you, what you care about, and how you're best going to represent them. You're also going to want to connect your story to the work that you're doing and the race that is at hand. So if you're running for something, you want to tell a story that is related to the work that you're going to be doing. You also want to tell a story that explains the why. So don't just say like, I care about politics or I care about healthcare. Why do you care? Really get down to that why answer. Because I just think it'll really give people who you're speaking to a sense of who you are, your values, and what you care about. You also want to read the room. So you're going to be telling your story to a lot of different people. It might be donors, it might be activists, it might be volunteers, and you're going to have different asks for all of them, right? So you're going to need to have different facets of the same story. They're all going to be completely true, but you're just going to kind of change your strategy of how you tell them to reflect the audience that's in the room, right? So like you wouldn't make your ask of donors to come door knocking with you. You're going to want to ask them for money, right? You're going to want to save that personal story for your volunteers. So just read the room, know who you're talking to, and then you can adjust your personal story accordingly. And on that same note, you're also going to want to time your story. So you want to have an elevator pitch that's like 30 seconds. Maybe you don't have that much time to speak. Maybe you just met someone on the elevator who you really need to just tell your story super quickly to. But maybe you're also at a rally or at another public engagement where you can actually have a little more time to tell your story. So just make sure you're timing them. I think mine was like 2-ish minutes, so you can definitely have a version that's a little bit longer and then have a version that's a bit shorter. And then last thing is you're really gonna want to practice. Like, um, it's okay if you're thinking like, oh, I actually have no idea. Like, I don't have just one story or I don't have any stories at all. And I think you definitely do. We're all human. We've all been through different experiences that have shaped us. I mean, you all just told me, you know, in the previous slide about issues that you care about. So I would really just sit down, brainstorm, really think about you know, one thing that you think has really impacted you, and then create a story out of that. And once you have identified that, practice your story with people. Give them the opportunity to give you feedback, memorize it, and then eventually you'll have it memorized, you'll have it practiced, and it'll sound really great and really authentic. So another thing that's also really helpful about telling your story is that it can get to a lot of these questions that only really you can answer. And the first is, why do you want to run? We've already talked about that a lot with our personal story, but if you think about it, everyone is going to be asking you that question. And your personal story is going to be one of the most connecting ways of you to explain to people why you want to run. It's going to be the thing that really helps people understand who you are, what your values are, and what you have to offer to voters. Another thing that's really important about what you have to offer to voters is that it's not just about your own personal experience and what comes from your story, but also about how that motivates you. Like, how does that make you a champion for your community? Remember that it's totally okay if you don't have the same exact lived experience as the people in your community. Like, that's bound to happen because you're all different people. We can live in the same area and have a completely different life experience, but you should be able to demonstrate that you really care about your community and that you're going to listen to their needs and their concerns. You're going to be dedicated to building those personal relationships with them. And that way you're able to demonstrate what you can offer to them. Another question is, do you have the discipline and drive to win? Because running for office is a whole job. It's very hard, but it's also very rewarding. It's rewarding even for people who haven't won because you can just learn a lot of things from your campaign journey. And it's just incredibly fulfilling to be able to be deeply connected and speak to your community. But there will be hard days and there will be hard times in your campaign. So you really need to be disciplined and have that drive to see your whole campaign through. Another question is, what seat do you want to run for and why? And I think your story can really help you answer the why piece. And don't worry, we're also going to talk about how to identify the seat that you really want to run for in the next section. But if we really want to think about it too, there are a lot of seats that you may never have heard of that are actually really powerful and important in your community. They aren't like the most flashy things. Like we have an Ignite Change fellowship that we just ran, and one of our fellows was from California, and she said that she really wanted to run for, I think it was like the Water Board or the Water Commission in California. As you can imagine, there's a lot of water there. So this is actually like it was a very important seat that I had never ever heard of. And so this can happen in a lot of other areas depending depending where you live. So these races can often be overlooked because they aren't super shiny again. It's not like Congress, it's not like those like big seats, but when you're thinking about running, you really want to think about like what matters to you the most, like what issue matters to you the most, and what seat will really actually help you work on that specific thing. And don't worry, we're going to talk about how to do the research to find the right one very soon. And the last question is, are you willing to raise the money that's necessary to win? Don't worry, you don't have to come from money to run for office. You don't need to have money. You're not going to be self-funding your race. But you just really have to be willing to actually put the work in to learn how to fundraise and then to actually fundraise and to make all the calls that are necessary to raise that money for your race, because you're going to really need to fundraise money to have a viable race. So you just have to be willing to learn and willing to use the skill and become more comfortable with talking about money and asking for money. And it's just going to come with running a campaign. And don't worry, we can teach you how to do that as well. We're going to talk a little bit about fundraising today, but we also have a training coming up in February for fundraising fundamentals where we'll talk a little bit more about this. And like I said, to help you find that right race for you, Emily's List has created this digital tool that might be helpful. You can find it at wherecanirun.emilyslist.org. Take a picture, screenshot it. But I believe this is just a form where you go put your name, your email, and you put your address. And it will show you a bunch of available races and seats that are available near you. And hopefully this can kind of help you start doing that research of, okay, this race means that I'll be doing XYZ, and this seat is that. So here's an awesome tool for you all to use. And so similarly to the questions that you want to ask yourself, another question that's really important for you to ask is now the right time to run? And this has to do more with you being prepared, and hopefully these questions will help you get there. So first thing you want to think about is your family, or whoever you consider to be your family, it can be your chosen family or your blood family, your friends or your support system, are they ready for the changes that might come when you're running for office? And what we mean by that is like, is your family going to be okay if you suddenly have to change your schedule? It might mean that you're late to dinner, or that you miss certain important events in other people's lives that you can't make because you're running for office. Or it might mean that you have to ask so-and-so to give you their space so that you can host a fundraiser. Or you might have to ask them to knock on doors with you. So you just want to make sure that they all have an understanding of the changes that might come when you're running, and just have them kind of prepared on the back end. You also want to think about your current job. You definitely want to tell them that you're thinking about running for office. You want to be super transparent with them. We don't want any of you to get fired because you decided to run and didn't tell them. And a lot of jobs are more flexible than you might think, and they want to be supportive of your dreams of running for office. So definitely run it by them, talk to them, tell them about it. Hopefully they can help you come to a compromise with your goals and be flexible. And I think your story will really, really help you be able to explain, why this matters to you and why you want to run. And I also think as we've seen from the pandemic, like jobs can be a little more flexible than we thought that they were. So definitely have that conversation with them and just think about your job. You also want to take a look at your personal finances. Like this includes just having like a clearer sense of where you're at and what some opportunities might be for you, or what challenges might come up from you committing to having to run for office. And you also want to think about changes that are going to happen in your life if you're elected. So if you're running for state legislator, is your capital going to be really far away? Are you going to have to move? Are there going to be other logistics that you have to consider? You just want to start thinking about these questions a lot because your life is going to change. And I think these questions will become a lot clearer depending on what you choose your seat to be. And we'll talk more about that in the next section too. All right, so we have come to our question and answering section. I know that someone is going to come on and ask me some questions.
I am going to ask you some questions, but also before we get to that, hello everyone. My name is Alyssa Fader. I am the training director here at Emily's List, and I'm also excited to announce that before we get to our Q&A, we are going to be joined by our special guest today, Mayor Farrah Khan of California. So before we get to Q&A, so that you have more information about Mayor Khan's story, I'm going to hand it back over to Nancy to introduce her. As some of you may know, we're at the 4-year anniversary of the Run to Win program, which is Emily's List training program, of which you are part. And we're so excited to bring in one of Emily's List candidates to talk about her experiences running and how the Run to Win program was useful for her. So I'm going to come back in just a minute. And Nancy, if you want to introduce Mayor Khan, and Mayor Khan, if you can turn on your camera and if you have problems.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mayor Farrah Khan is first and foremost a mother of 2 boys. She was elected to the Irvine City Council in 2018 with the highest votes among 12 candidates and is the first woman of color to be elected to the council. She is a small business owner and a recruitment consultant. Prior to that, Farrah served 8 years as a regulatory affairs manager for a biotech company in Emeryville, California. And for 4 years, from 2015 to 2019, she served as the executive director for a local nonprofit, Newport Mesa Irvine Interfaith Council, where she worked with the local faith communities and other nonprofits to tackle issues like homelessness and human trafficking while promoting peace and understanding. She has received numerous awards and recognitions throughout the years, which is a testament to her commitment to service. She was also awarded the Community Service Leader Award from the OC Human Relations Commission. Building bridges and bringing communities together is a priority for her, as in making sure Irvine is environmentally and economically sustainable for years to come. And so with that, I just want to give the floor to Mayor Farrah Khan and give her a warm virtual welcome.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here with everyone. And running for office is never easy, but it's so important for you to be prepared. And I think that's why the Run to Win program is so essential, because you don't want to jump into something without any preparation. So I want to share a little bit about my trajectory from when I first started to where I am now. And it all started back in 2014. And, for many, many years, I worked behind the scenes on local campaigns, doing the phone banking, running the fundraising, doing canvassing. But at the end of the day, what I felt was that there wasn't the right type of representation in our city council. We kept electing people that seemed to have conflicts with one another. They weren't working towards helping the community, and they seemed to have like a personal agenda. And so I found myself over and over showing up at city council meetings during the public comments and speaking up on issues, from the living wage ordinance to being more environmentally friendly in our city. And all of that led to me wanting to more and more get involved and get more into politics, but didn't know how. And so, for me, it was very hard because, when you first want to get in, you kind of want to scan and see who else is out there that you can talk to, look at the organizations that are out there helping people run for office, and get as much information as you can. Learn about fundraising, learn about canvassing, learn about creating a good volunteer program, and learn about how to get those endorsements, learn about how to network with others. And for me, the first time I ended up running was in 2016, and I actually lost that race, but out of the 11 candidates that were running, I came in 4th. So what happened at that time was people that didn't know me started to get to know me. There's a little bit of more interest building up, like, where does she come from? How does she get such high votes? And then it really set me up for my next run in 2018. And in 2018, it was really just getting out there, talking to people. And I'll share with you one of the things that I learned that is so key when you're campaigning is, when you talk to people, give them that full attention that they deserve. A lot of times, right now we're in COVID, so everything's on Zoom, but when you're person to person, a lot of times, at events, you'll see people just running from one person to the next, and they're just trying to get as many contacts as possible. But, I'll tell you, if you are able to have maybe 2 or 3 really good conversations with people at an event, they're going to be the ones that are going to be promoting you to other people. They're the ones that are going to be saying, you know what, she spent the time to learn about our issues, whether it's an organization, a labor union, wherever it may be. They're the ones that are going to be there supporting you. So it's very important to build those networks, but do it in a way where you're respectful of the person's time and of what they've been doing, and understanding where they're coming from and what their needs might be. Whether you're running at a local level, state level, or federal level, it's important to have those relationships built on. You can get like 10, 20 business cards at an event, but if you haven't built those relationships, they're not going to do much for you. And then again, just be honest. It's so important to be honest with people. If you don't know something, let them know, hey, you know what, I'm not familiar about this, but I'll go ahead and look into it, and I'd love to learn more. And don't make promises that you can't keep. When I was running, I saw candidates that were making promises left and right. And, people see through you. I mean, you won't believe how many people are interconnected. So if you're telling one group something and another group something else, they're going to be talking to each other. So be honest with them. Let them know where you stand. Let them know that if you are not in agreement with something that they want you to do, that you're willing to hear them out, that you're willing to listen to them. And really, that's what made a difference in 2018, was I put that time and effort into getting to know my community, getting to know what their issues were, and getting to know, who they wanted as a representative. And when you present yourself in an honest fashion, people will trust you more. And I tell people all the time that we're not going to agree 100% on everything. It's just impossible to do. But, I'm always going to be there. I'm always going to be there to listen. I'm going to be there to learn. And at the same time, we may not agree on one issue here, but we're going to agree on other things. And we just want to build on that relationship. So in 2018, when I ran, I actually came in first out of 12 candidates that were running. And, for me, that was a 4-year seat, and I was not planning on running for mayor. But with the current issues with the pandemic and social injustice issues that were arising in our city, we had a mayor that has held office for about 26 years. And, her reaction to the pandemic, and especially, we're a campus town, so our city of about 300,000 people, we've got a large chunk that is University of California, Irvine students. And when those students came up to us and stated that they were having a hard time paying their rents, our mayor was suggesting they go find a job in Amazon. And, when with the social justice issues that we were facing here, even though we have a very small Black population in our city, they were really bringing up concerns about equity when it came to housing and education and jobs. And our mayor was out there claiming that if people didn't like her city, that they could find another city to live in. And that was really the last straw for me. I just couldn't imagine her running again and not being opposed by anyone, and having to sit through 2 more years of leadership that just didn't care about the community. And so it was, I think, June 15th that I decided that I would run against her. It wasn't easy because, again, we were under COVID restrictions, and at the same time, it left me with less than 6 months to campaign. And but you know what? We beat her. And we beat her because people had already seen the work I had done. They knew that I was accessible. They knew that I was standing up for the right reasons. And not only did we beat a 26-year incumbent that had never lost an election, but we beat her by 13 points. So it was very historic. I think I'm the only person that has run for mayor that received such high votes in the history of Irvine. And beating a sitting incumbent happened for the first time. And so, it's very important for you to be authentic, to know what you're doing, to know who your community is, to know them not as a number. Because a lot of times, you're given these numbers, like you need to achieve this number of people to vote for you, this number of people to give funds to you. And really, it comes down to having that one-on-one conversation, not looking at people as numbers, but as human beings with needs and wants in the city, and you being able to be their voice. being able to be the one that says, you know what, I'm listening to the community and I'm going to be bringing forward things that matter to them, because really you are their representative. And so, for me, this 2020 win was incredible on so many levels, not only as me being the first woman of color to be elected in our city, but being the first Muslim woman, leading a major city throughout the US. And it didn't happen because of those reasons. It happened because of the reasons that I just mentioned before. It's about training, making sure you know what you're doing. And then secondly, just being your authentic self, being who you are and projecting that to the community that you want to serve. Because, no matter how much you portray yourself as someone, if you aren't true, people see through it. And you don't want that at the back end. I've seen so many people that have come out and act like they're someone else, and act like they care, and it comes out as fake, and that's the last thing you want to do. So, if there are issues that you passionately believe in, for me, it's the environment. I care so much about the environment. That is my number one priority. But there are other issues as well. Like I said, social justice issues are huge right now. The pandemic and economic crisis are huge right now. But that doesn't mean I stop my work on the environment. And so, find that passionate issue of yours and run with it. And then again, just be true to yourself, be true to your community. And at the end of the day, do whatever you can to make things better for everyone. And I don't know if I've run off my time, but
No, you did so amazing. Thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you so much for your words of advice. And we're definitely going to be talking about that honesty and integrity, and speaking to voters in the next section of our presentation and training. So just want to thank you so much for your time today, and give you another virtual thank you and round of applause.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everything that you guys do. You're amazing.
Thank you. I just wanted to say you can't see the chat right now, but there's lots of folks thanking you for your time and really appreciating hearing from your experience.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Awesome.
What a gem.
Yes.
So to reintroduce myself, hello everybody. My name is Alyssa. I am the training director here at Emily's List, and I'm here to bring Nancy some of the questions that some of you already submitted via text and things like that. So super excited to get into that. You guys sent in a ton of questions, so I'm so sorry we're not going to be able to get to everything, but we will provide you with resources so you can continue to learn with us. So hello, Nancy. First question was, I don't know, I've had one moment or experience that shaped my decision making. How can I narrow down my life to one story?
Yeah, this is definitely really difficult to do, and so true for a lot of people. I would say even for me, like I talked about that story about my cousin and like reproductive rights, but I've also had a lot of other moments that have really shaped my experiences. And so something you can do in your personal story is just like be honest about that and just say, this is one of many experiences that have changed my life or my outlook on XYZ. And I think it's also really important that you choose an issue or an experience that is really compelling or relating to the audience that you're speaking to. Because remember, like sometimes you're going to be talking to donors or sometimes you're going to be talking to volunteers. So you just want to change your story accordingly. You're going to have many, they're all going to be true, but it's just going to change slightly depending on who you're talking to. And just remember that you're going to have more than one personal story. And so they're just going to be tools in your toolbox. And before you know it, you're going to be an expert and you're going to be able to slightly change your story depending on who you're speaking to.
Great. One more question for this section. I want to make sure we have time to get to the back half of the training. Yeah. If you're choosing to run for an office that is full-time, are there any suggestions for finding a job that is more flexible and allowing you to leave and maybe return? Curious to know if people have experiences with jobs that are more in the political space and accommodating to those goals, or considering running for office to be a shared goal.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely a conversation that you first like have to talk to your employer about, because you need to know how flexible they are going to be or not. Like you can definitely be surprised and find that your employer actually is totally down for you to run for office and wants to be supportive as they can be. But you won't know the answer to that until you ask, and you're really the only person who knows your workplace. So you definitely have to do the research and have those conversations to do that. I think something else that's worth looking into is that as we've seen with the pandemic, there's like a lot of more remote jobs now, and that can give you a little bit more flexibility to run your campaign. You also have to think about that, okay, if the opposite happens, if your employer doesn't want to save your job for the time until after you run for office and after you've been in office, it's definitely, just worth talking to them about what your goals are, and how you could possibly like return to the company or organization after you've run for office. And definitely don't feel like you have to change your job, like go into politics, into a job of politics just because you want to run for office. I think there are jobs that are not politics related that would definitely be supportive of your wish to run. So it's just about like having those conversations with them.
Yeah, and also just to add on, there's a lot of positions are also part-time or even quarter time. So
Yeah.
depending on what the position is that you're running for, that may not have much or any impact on your job at all. So make sure that you have a really deep understanding of the role that you're running for.
So
Okay,
true.
we have more questions, but let's finish the training and then we'll come back to some more. I'll be back.
Definitely. Thank you, Alyssa. Very awesome. So let's move into the second part of the training. And we are going to be talking about all the research that you have to do when you're thinking of running for office. And so, all right, now you're at a point where you've decided to run for office, it's set. And so now you have to start doing that research. So the first thing you have to do is do research on yourself, put yourself under the microscope, do your self research. And so as you can see on the slide, there are some very challenging articles about things that have come out about people's past on the Republican side. And this is why you really want to get a good sense about what's out there about you, just so you can be prepared to talk about them. The reason a lot of times people get into trouble about their past is they kind of just try to bury it, don't pay attention to it, it doesn't exist. But it happens and it could come out about you. So you really just want to have answers for it. It's okay if you're not a perfect person. It's okay if you've been on the internet for a long time. But you just really want to have answers if something were to come up about you. For lack of better words, like anything that's public about you can be used against you. Even things that are completely neutral, that are not good or bad, people can spin them. So you just want to make sure that you have an answer for the things that are already out there and that are public about you. So on the same note about putting yourself under a microscope, there are things that you might not consider to be public that are public that you should be also taking a look at. So for example, you might want to think about any educational or professional experiences that you've had that might be deemed like controversial, like did you work at a specific place that now has a different reputation? Do you want to have an answer prepared for that if that were to come up in the future? You also want to think about any civic engagement that you've been involved in. Again, like this could actually be really helpful to you. You can have a public track record of having been a part of your community and volunteering a lot. So you're just going to want to be prepared for whatever comes and know what's out there about you. Another thing you want to keep in mind is any memberships or organizations that you or your family might have. You just want to see like what your name essentially is publicly on. Doesn't have to be good or bad, but you just want to know what's out there. Another thing you want to think about is any bills and investments that are in your name or in your family's name. Like, could it be said that because your name is on XYZ company or XYZ stock, that you have some kind of bias or anything like that? So you really just want to think about and get a sense of what your name is on and what you've invested in. Have you paid your taxes? That one's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you're paying your taxes. And lastly, you want to look at your social media, get a sense of any essays, commentary, pictures that might be out there about you. Again, there are things that are public about you that are completely neutral. They are not good and they are not bad, but as happens a lot of times in campaigns, it can get a little messy. People can try to exploit something that's out there about you. So for example, like I've been on the internet for a long time. I am a millennial. When I was a teen, I would like write blogs about my life. Nothing bad, nothing controversial, but I was just an angsty teen. And someone could definitely come around and try and spin that and say, oh, Nancy isn't a good leader because she's too emotional, or she wrote this or she wrote that. Again, completely neutral, but people can definitely do that. So you just really want to get a sense of what's out there about you. Pay a close eye to what is there, and adjust accordingly. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Just remember, it's all about integrity. It's not about being perfect. It's just about knowing what's out there, and if it comes up, having a response for it. So on that same note, let's talk about building your online brand, continuing to put yourself under a microscope. You want to have all your digital bases covered. So one of the things you want to do is definitely go on your social media, scrub your social media. If there's anything out there that doesn't fit the brand that you want to create as a leader, then you want to delete it. And that's okay. And a lot of us have been on the internet for a very long time again. So I know usually when we're on social media, we don't really think about what we're posting. Sometimes we just post, but when you're running for office, you definitely want to create that online brand for yourself. So you can be more specific now when you're uploading things. You also just want to do a deep dive on your name, like Google your name, see what comes up, just to get a sense of what's out there about you. You're also going to want to have like Google alerts set up for yourself just to see if anything comes up about you. This will be especially important in your race. Another thing you want to do is make sure that you reserve your website, because unfortunately we're not the only ones with our names sometimes, and it's definitely possible that someone could have taken your domain name by the time you actually decide to run for office. So you can do this on the back end. There are a lot of places that help you build like an easy website and also help you purchase your domain at the same time. So it's a lot easier than it used to be. Just make sure you're doing that. Again, set up your Google alerts so that you know what's happening during your race. You're also going to want to update your LinkedIn, your Facebook, all things that are public, kind of like Mayor Khan hinted to. There may come a point in your campaign where people are like, who is this person? And they're going to be Googling you. They're going to be looking at your profiles. So you just want to make sure that everything is up to date about you. And then going forward, you really want to start posting content to your social medias that supports the brand of who you are as a leader. So maybe you go to Twitter and that's the place where you talk about a lot of the issues that you really care about. And maybe you go on Instagram and you share photos of you volunteering in the community. And these are all just really opportunities for you to build that brand that you want and what you want to contribute to your community. Again, like I don't want to make it sound like I'm telling you the internet is really dangerous. Don't use it. Definitely use it. It can be a very amazing tool for you to show people at the beginning of your race who you are. You just really want to know what's out there and use it properly. And then similarly, you're also going to want to start getting your name out in your community in different ways other than just like social media. So maybe you want to start a blog or write letters to the editor, write an op-ed. It's going to depend on how your community communicates with the media and consumes it. I know in my community, a lot of people like still listening to the radio. So you're really going to want to think about that and kind of try and reach people through different avenues and really get that like name brand recognition in your community, and also talk about the issues that you care about and, you know, wanting to build those relationships with people. So again, I don't want to make it sound like you should never post or use anything on the internet. You definitely should, but now that you know how to build your online brand, you can take more control of what you're putting out there, and you can be more intentional with your online use. All right, and now we're going to talk about finding the right race itself. And so you really want to take a look at what seats are available, and it's going to really depend on where you're running, like if you're running for the state, the county, or the city, whatever you know you're thinking of, and when they are available. So you want to remember that some seats are going to be part-time, some are going to be unpaid. some are going to be full-time. It really just depends. And so you have to really do the research to get a good sense of what's available, and so that you can pick a good seat that works for your lifestyle. You also want to think about if the seat is open. It doesn't have to be. And running against an incumbent can have its own challenges and also opportunities, and both are completely fine. Like if the incumbent was really challenging and difficult to work with, then you could use that to your advantage. But if the incumbent is really popular, then that could be a little more difficult for you. But neither of these things are bad at all. You just need to find what the facts are, what has happened before, and then adjust your campaign strategy to fit the situation. You're also going to want to think about the history of the seat or district. Has it always been held by a Democrat? Has it always been held by a Republican? Is there a pattern? Is there no pattern? But whatever that might be, it might give you some insight into what your race is going to look like. Another thing is, has there been any important changes in your community? Has there been redistricting that changed the folks who will be voting for you? Are there a lot of new folks now? Or is the population a little bit older? This research will just give you an idea on the race and who's voting. You're also going to want to think about, does your profile fit the race and the place where you're running? So that's all to say that maybe you're a person of color and you're running in a community that is majority person of color. That's really, really going to help you. Being a person of color is an experience that no one can take away from you. It's completely unique, and you're really going to be able to connect to your voters. But maybe you aren't a person of color and you're running in a majority minority district. You really want to go the extra mile to connect and make those relationships with folks in the community. You really want to know what their wants and needs are. You want to be extra sensitive to them and what their needs are. And so you also want to have some questions prepared about, some tough questions prepared about, why you're running in a majority minority district. And you just want to demonstrate again that you really care about these people, that you have really listened, and you just want to be a public servant. So just be ready for those difficult conversations. And then lastly, are there any other elections that might impact yours? You really want to get a sense about that, because maybe you're blessed in running for an election that is coinciding with a presidential election. That's awesome, because people will definitely be there to turn out for you. But maybe you're running in a primary or a special election, an election that not many people are aware of. You're going to need to change your campaign strategy so that people take it seriously and they know who you are, they get that name recognition. And even in a presidential year, it might be that the presidential is taking up a lot of people's time and their brain space, and so you might need to work a little harder to get your name out there. So these things are all completely neutral. It's just exciting to know that you can do the research and know more information about an election, but you just really want to do the research on the back end so that you know. All right, so you're also going to want to know a bunch of facts about the race, like are there any applicable election laws? How do you get on the ballot? Is there a primary that you have to win before you can move on to the general? How many people have voted in previous elections? These are all really important questions that you need to know, and we're going to talk about them in the next coming slides. Guess what? You don't have to already know the answer to these questions. You can just do the research to know them. Okay. And so the next thing is you just really want to know the facts about the race, about how much it costs. We can't tell you how much it costs. It will definitely depend on where you're running, what seat you're running for. And so you're going to have to do a lot of research on this. You're going to want to know how much people raised in previous cycles who hold your seats, so that you can know how much to raise. You're also going to want to know if there are any election laws about how much you can raise for your campaign. So you're just going to want to do that research on the backhand. And I'm going to tell you right now where you can do this research. You can learn it at the Department of Elections. There's a lot of history about the seats, how many people are registered, and just a lot of information that you can find on there. You can look on Ballotpedia, which has a lot of, again, history, maps, things about Congress, how the district has changed over time, stats. So definitely look on there as well. Google, there's no shame in doing research on Google. Definitely use this to your disposal. There's a lot of information you can find. And lastly, campaign finance. This again is from the Department of Elections, but you can find out people's contribution histories and how much money previous candidates have raised on there. And so again, you're gonna have to do a lot of research. It's okay. You don't have to know off the cuff all this information, but now you have the tools to be able to do your research. And just to quickly go off on some fundraising myths that you probably already have, since we're already on the topic of money. Firstly, you might think that political fundraising is charity. I know a lot of us grew up in families where we weren't allowed to talk about money. It's just how we were raised. And it might be different for you to have to kind of start to talk a lot about money when you're running, have to do a lot of calls, asking people for money. And you just want to remember that this money isn't just for you. It's not only going into your pockets. This is a chance for those donors to really invest in their community, invest in your campaign, invest in communal good, and just remember that it's not something that's just about you, it's about your community, and you're definitely allowed to want to serve your community, and they're allowed to want to invest. So it's not just about charity. Another myth that you might have is only the rich give. You might be thinking, I don't have a lot of rich friends. I don't know how I'm going to raise this money. You know, a lot of people, well, Emily's List financial wizards have done research, and they found out that people of lower incomes actually give with the higher percentage of their income. But even more than that, it's really important that we don't just discount people based on their income from donating to you all. It's important to democratize what fundraising looks like, and small dollar contributions do add up. I think we've seen this change more recently in different people's elections. So you really just want to give people the opportunity to give to you. $5, $10, it all makes a difference. People want the chance to invest in their community, so don't just discount people from donating to you. So no, not only the rich give. Another thing is that fundraising is schmoozing. I think people think this because it can seem really inauthentic to have a conversation with someone and then ask them about money and ask them to give you money. But you have to remember, again, fundraising benefits the community. It's not just benefiting you. And this isn't just a siloed interaction. It's not solely transactional. It's an opportunity for you to hear from your community their actual concerns and the issues that they're facing, and give them an opportunity to invest in the future and in your campaign. So it's not just schmoozing. You can actually make it an opportunity for an authentic conversation with them. Another myth is only the usual suspects give. And this definitely is not true. And I think this alludes to the political donors out there who you might not have contact to. It's true that there is this political donors world out there, but in the beginning of your campaign, you really just have to do the work of getting your name out there, building those relationships, and then eventually these people will hear about you because you're doing the great work on the front end, and then they will start to donate to you. So don't focus on this when you're beginning to fundraise. Eventually these people will hear about you and they will want to support your campaign. And the last thing I want to talk about is that it's rude to ask for money more than once. And this is definitely not true. We call this resolicitation, and it's when you have the opportunity to go back to someone who's already given to you and give again. This might sound weird. You might be like, I already asked once. I don't want to have to ask again. But the reality is that a lot of people actually appreciate you doing this. Like if in the beginning of your campaign, you asked them to donate so you could hire a staffer, and then that staffer was able to help you get more social media followers or get XYZ endorsements, you can go back to that person, tell them the amazing things that you were able to do with their contribution, and then ask them if they can double down and recommit to donating more money to your campaign. Again, it's an opportunity for them to invest in their community, to invest in your campaign. You don't have to feel ashamed about that at all, and you can definitely ask again. So those are just some political fundraising myths that you might have. If you're interested in more about fundraising, again, we're going to have a fundraising webinar in February. It's coming up, so keep an eye out on that, and we'll be back helping you with that too. So the last thing I want to quickly run through are some things that progressive women must have. And again, these are things that you don't necessarily have to have right now, but you definitely have to develop these skills for the future. So the first thing is integrity. And this just means that you are committed to building relationships with your community based on trust. It doesn't mean that you are perfect, that you have never done anything wrong, that you haven't existed on the internet, but you just want to keep those things in mind. If they come up, you want to have an answer for them and build that trust with everyone. Another thing is you want to have passion, you want to have motivation, you want to be committed. Running for office is super difficult. It takes a lot of time. There are going to be some hard days. You need to have that passion, the motivation, and commitment to see your race through. It's going to be hard and you can do it, but you just need to build the passion, motivation, and commitment. Another thing is you're going to want to like people because you're going to want to have to talk to a lot of voters and a lot of people. This can be hard for introverts. Hi, I'm an introvert, even though I'm talking to all of you. But one thing I want you to keep in mind is that I'm an introvert, but I'm able to have one-on-one conversations with people, and I know that I can genuinely build good relationships with folks through that. So you just want to find the best way that you build relationships. You don't always have to be the life of the party. You can just find your own way to do that. Another thing is the willingness to learn and the willingness to ask for help, right? Like we don't all just come out the gate knowing how to fundraise. We don't all come out the gate being able to talk to 1 million people and all the voters. You're gonna need to learn and be willing to learn how to fundraise, how to do call time. You're gonna need to ask for help when you need folks to door knock for you, and it's totally okay to do that. So this is something that you can definitely learn. The last thing is you have to have skin that can thicken. Remember that running for office is something public, and you don't have to be completely like the toughest cookie in the box. You don't have to have no feelings. Politics can be messy, and that's just part of the job. It's something public, so you're gonna have to toughen up over time. If anything comes out about you, you have to know how to talk about it. And again, like these are all skills that you can learn and develop over time. You don't automatically have to know how to do these things. And some key takeaways, you want to know why you're running, what seat you're running for, and how to convey that story to folks. And it'll really help you with your success in your campaign. Don't cut corners when you're doing research. It can come back later and hurt you. And get excited. Thank you all so much for joining this webinar. Like this was the first step for you in running for office. We really need you, and hopefully we can ignite change together in the future. So I don't know.
We are out of time.
Yep,
for
we're
questions.
out of time.
It's totally fine. You all have amazing questions in the chat, which is amazing. Please come to more of our webinars, and I promise you we will actually get to all of them. We have a very rigorous training schedule, and Emma is one of our staffers is going to put a link in the chat right now where you can watch past recordings. If you are like, I gotta go right now, you can watch past recordings of our webinars, and I'm just gonna share super quickly, Nancy, if we can go to the next slide, other resources. If you go to our training center, you can learn more about our trainings there and have practical skills like the ones we're teaching you today. And we'll see you at the next one. So with all of that said, thank you, our partners, Elect Women. Thank you, Miss Nancy, and thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.